Today's a controversial one, and we're going to talk about a philosopher that I just want to emphasize I don't fully agree with him. I have read Thus Spake Zarathustra, and I'm currently reading Beyond Good and Evil. And Nietzsche is full of aphorisms, he's full of good advice, but I can't go all the way with him. That being said, we're going to take specific parts of Nietzsche's philosophy and we're going to use it in the context of if you have a bad boss in the workplace. If you know that famous phrase, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, most people think that's like a motivational poster nonsense quote, but it actually comes from this philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche. And he meant something much deeper and more useful than just tough it out. So today I'm going to outline what Nietzsche's philosophy meant in a way that you can use it to transform like a nightmare of working for a bad boss into something that actually builds your capabilities even while it's happening. So what did Nietzsche actually mean? He wasn't saying that suffering is good or that you should endure pain and you'll magically become better. What he was saying is that struggle forces you to develop capacities that you wouldn't otherwise build. When life is easy, you never have to get creative, resilient, or strategic. You coast on default settings. But when you face real adversity, you're forced to develop new skills, new ways of thinking, and new strengths just to survive. The key is that you have to actively extract the growth from the struggle. It doesn't happen automatically. Think of it like working out. Lifting weights literally tears the muscle fibers, which sounds terrible, but your body adapts by building those muscles back stronger than they were before. It's also why going to the gym is the first part of working out to get strong. But people got to realize that the sleep and the eating correctly and getting enough water, proper nutrients, and then doing a really productive, hard, intense workout, all of it has to come together. So it really is about health and like full capacity of your lifestyle in order to build it up and become stronger. Your body adapts by building these muscles back stronger. The stress creates the adaptation. Working for a bad boss is like that, except instead of building physical muscle, you're building psychological and professional capabilities. Having a bad boss creates stress that forces you to develop skills you might not ever have needed if you were in a healthy workplace. But the crucial part is that you have to be intentional about what you're learning, or you just get beaten down instead of being built up. These are skills that bad bosses accidentally teach you. Even if it doesn't feel like learning, your bad boss is teaching you how to communicate with difficult people, which is a skill that's going to serve you in every future job, negotiation, and conflict that you're a part of. They are teaching you emotional regulation because you have to manage your reactions constantly just to get through the day. They are teaching you how to document, how to protect yourself, how to read people's intentions, and how to operate in less than ideal conditions. These are not small skills. These are actually the skills that separate people that thrive in their careers from people that only succeed when conditions are perfect. Your bad boss is teaching you what kind of leader you never want to become. If you ever manage people in the future, you have a detailed blueprint of exactly what not to do. You are learning your own boundaries and what you will and will not tolerate, which means you're going to make better choices about where you work in the future. You're learning self-reliance because you can't depend on your boss for support, guidance, or recognition. That might sound lonely, but it's actually building independence that will make you more valuable in the long run. So here's what Nietzsche would warn you about. Just experiencing hardship doesn't automatically make you stronger. Plenty of people go through terrible situations and come out bitter, broken, or diminished. The difference is in how you frame what's happening and what you actively choose to extract from it. You have to be deliberate about identifying the skills that you're building so that this suffering has a purpose beyond just survival. The way you apply this now and use this Nietzsche approach when you're dealing with a bad boss is to start keeping a skills inventory. At the end of a difficult week, you can write down one capability that you had to use or develop because of your bad boss's behavior. One time I did this and it was about listening. I worked on listening because I wanted to hear every word that came out of a person's mouth so that I could understand exactly what the instructions were, so that when I was led incorrectly, I sort of developed that skill of learning and listening to every single word, which helps me with other people as well. Like just in conversations, I am actually able to look at someone and listen. So that's a skill that I personally developed, and I hope that you find yours. Let me know in the comments below. Okay, maybe you had to figure out how to advocate for yourself when no one else would. Maybe you had to develop a system for managing conflicting priorities with no clear guidance. So you write that down, you name the skill, and then that way you're building on it. Another way is you can reframe the narrative that you're telling yourself. Instead of, I am stuck in a terrible situation, you can flip it and say, I'm in an intense training ground that is making me more resilient and capable. This is not toxic positivity. You're not just pretending that a bad situation is good. You're just acknowledging that the current situation is bad, and you're using it to forge abilities and skills that people in comfortable jobs never develop. There's a reason why some of the most capable leaders have stories about surviving terrible bosses early in their careers. They extracted strength from that experience instead of just being crushed by it. You have to think about your future self too. 5 years from now, when you're in a better job with better leadership, what skills from this period will you be grateful that you have developed? Maybe it's the ability to stay positive and professional under pressure. Maybe it's learning to trust your own judgment when authority figures are unreliable. Maybe it's discovering that you are way tougher than you thought. You have to keep this future perspective in mind because it helps you see this as a chapter of something that you're building rather than just a waste of time. There's an important caveat here. Nietzsche's philosophy is about extracting growth from adversity, not about staying in adversity forever. There's a difference between using a bad situation to build strength and letting a bad situation just eat at you and destroy you. If your bad boss is creating an environment that's affecting your health or your relationships or your sense of self, then the strong move is not to stay and endure it. The strong move is to recognize what you've learned, and when you're at the end of that it's time to leave. So you could think of it that it's like a boxer learns from tough fights, and if they stay in the ring getting pummeled around, they're not really building that strength anymore. They're just taking damage. So you have to know the difference there. Working for a bad boss is genuinely difficult, and I'm not going to tell you to be grateful for it, but I'm going to tell you that you get to decide what you're going to make of this experience, and you can let it diminish you, or you can deliberately extract capabilities from it that will serve you for the rest of your career. What doesn't kill you can make you stronger, but only if you're intentional about that transformation. So you're not just surviving this, you are building something, and that something is you. So let me know if that was helpful. I really hope that it was. I'll see you guys on the next one. And again, the focus for this week is psychological armor. And so I think today's coverage of this Nietzsche philosophy to like practical skill building is a really good way of thinking about it. I hope you do too.